Landed on the SurePoint ag system with LiquiShift and Sentinel monitoring. The LiquiShift was pretty neat. I explain it as it's like a 3-speed transmission. You got A, B, or A and B. So it's first, second, third. On A, pressure starts low. As you build up speed, the pressure increases. When it gets to 70 PSI, which is kind of the preset determination, it shifts to B and closes A. Pressure drops back down and catches your rate. And then when it gets up there, it opens both. And it's really neat to watch that system working as you speed up and slow down to the field. So on the pump stack off the D250, the discharge comes down, goes through the flow meter, and then I routed it around the back just for ease of mounting. It comes in this side to this manifold, got our primary pressure gauge, A valve and B valve, and these are your transmission gears, if you will. So first gear, second gear, and then with both of them open is kind of my third gear as I explain it to people. From there, each valve feeds back through a line to the back to a manifold, and then out to the row units, to the metering tubes, and then ultimately through the Sentinel and then to the rows. So these two lines here, this 1-inch line feeds back to a T into these manifolds. So you've got your A station or your A line and B line. So depending on which valve or both, it's feeding through one of these or the other or both, as I said, and feeds through the manifold and down out to the wings. From these tubes, it goes into the metering tubes and meters down. Of course, your A line goes through the A metering tubes and your B line goes through the B metering tubes. From there, those tubes go down and they feed in through the Sentinel, come back together through the Sentinel and is measured. And then from Sentinel, it breaks down and goes out to each row. So off of our manifold mounted up, I've got mounted under the platform. They come down here and these are your metering tubes. Restricted diameter tube. Essentially, the tubing inside diameter is restricted to give you your flow restriction as an orifice would do. So you have an A and a B tube size, and they're different. They're color-coded, and they're different based on your needs. These are sized for what we're trying to do. So I've got a black tube and an orange tube. So the metering tubes feed up here and come up to the Sentinel module and then Y back together at each row and feed through the Sentinel module for monitoring. And from the Sentinel module, then they go to each of the group of 4 rows. And I have 4 of these Sentinel modules on the planner per group of 4 rows. So feeding out of the Sentinel module, it comes down. I put this valve in here just for service if I needed it. That's not normal, but I'm a little overboard there. To the zip valves. The zip valves are your row shutoff. So we're not varying rate at the row. We're controlling our rate via the metering tubes. Through the Sentinel, feed down to the zip valve. The zip valve is giving us our row-by-row shutoffs. From the zip valve, we split again with some metering tube in there to balance flow to each side of the conceal application points. By putting this tube in there, we hold back pressure on each side so it flows evenly out the conceal tubes because I have dual conceal on the planner, so I'm putting it down each side of the row. So operating Sentinel is really pretty intuitive. It's fairly easy to figure out. Once you go through the pages a couple times, finding what you want is pretty simple. Section control, duty cycle, you can plug in 3 different target rates. And so this year I didn't ever change it. We landed on 27.5 gallons is what our plan was, and that's what we applied. You can scroll through and see LiquiShift. You can manually operate if you want to. Go back to kind of the home screen, or what I consider the home screen. I've got all 16 rows showed there. You're always your baseline in the center, and then row up or down, and then the black line that we got there is out of our preset limit. So it will alarm when it gets out of that limit, which I believe I've got set at 20% here. And it stayed right in there unless I had an outlet plugged on one of the knives or something. Otherwise, it stayed right in there. I couldn't ask for a easier to operate and more reliable system. We just turn it on. If there's liquid in the tank, go to work.